Cool. Now with that, we can get started. So mainly, we can take a look at some of the untriaged GitHub issues and go from there. So looking at older issues. We've had this issue open for a while now. Um, yeah, I think it just mainly needs a review or somebody to track it. I think it has the necessary, I guess it has the necessary labels. We'll just have to find an owner for it and go from there. This is in draft, so we can let this be. Starting from the bottom here, this is also in draft. Also needs owner, so we'll just let that be. Seems like it's been looked at before. This PR has just been sitting here.
Well, isn't it Leia's? I think we can close it out.
Yeah, I guess I'm curious if we want to just make an issue for it before we close it out. If we still want to do this.
I think we do. We should make it an issue. Link to the draft PR.
Yeah,
Okay, someone wants to pick it up. I mean, I guess we can ping Leia.
all that we could do that too. I'll leave that note of it and just let it be. And then I can come back to, I'll assign it to myself and then come back to it. Create the issue and close it out. Um, ah, so we're looking for more information here. Doesn't seem like we had anything left here. Derek, do you mind if I just assign this to you? But it seems like they're not even responding, so it may just be letting it stale out.
Yeah, I mean, we can ping them on Slack if we think they're gonna answer
Yeah,
to it. Actually, he's been bugging me on Slack, and then he just stopped. Oh, I told him I left some feedback, and then he just never got to it, so he knows.
okay, cool. I'll just assign it to you and then yeah, we can go from there.
Sure.
Um, Needs owner, okay. Needs owner. Tracking this one. Needs owner. Yeah, and this one also needs an owner.
Yeah, sorry. This is my PR, but
Oh, okay.
just I guess I need someone to take a look. I think I explicitly call like wait, Carpenter doesn't deal well with Nitro, but this is simply the ability for Carpenter to launch with Nitro option turned on. It doesn't care about anything else, even though it's not gonna. Yeah,
Gotcha. So this is effectively, we just want to pass this along to the
exactly.
house
From
template?
exactly from the no class to the launch template. That's it. All the memory, CPU allocation, all the magic stuff, it's not dealt with in this PR because I think stuck on waiting overlay. But we need this feature. Yeah,
So I guess how would users utilize this? It's just like they pass this in and then they would have to configure everything with via user data. but then Carpenter wouldn't have any awareness for the actual resources here.
This will work only if you use custom AMI because that makes no assumption of the things, and you would have to either set your reserve memory to, like right now we're tricking it by using kubelet reserve memory to be higher and the node pool, sorry, the node class now to be higher, but that doesn't get passed down to the actual node because it's custom AMI.
Okay.
And use that to carve out memory and CPU for the Nitro Enclave. Is I guess the only hack we can do right now, because overlay is not out there yet.
I see, I see. Okay. Yeah. Yeah, I think I just need somebody to take a look at it. I can take a look at this one then. I will come back and take a look at this. Okay. Next. Oh, this seems simple enough. We may want to just have this seems like it's just a quick troubleshoot.
Do we
Right.
have an example PR where someone did add it all to all the docs? I think we asked that comment a lot of people who want to update documentation, and I think then there's like a misunderstanding of their like, well, I don't know what to do there. Might be nice if we point them to an example.
I typically just point them to the actual when they if they ask. Most people tend to figure it out, at least from my experience. But if not, I just point them to the actual content, like this page, and then they kind of get once they start poking around, they get a quick idea of how it's set up, since they're all effectively duplicates of each other with slight changes. But also to answer your question, we don't have anything. I personally would love it if we could just add it as part of like the PR description. But I don't think anyone has gotten around to doing that. Cool. Um, Jason also blocked. This. Yeah, I guess I'm curious about the use case here though. Since the pricing API itself is really only in a few regions, I'm curious why somebody would want to do this. Oh, restricted regions. Okay. That's interesting. I will just, for now, since we're just taking a look at this, I will assign it to him. Cool. Um, Just put the label needs owner here. we'll assign this out to Reed since he's taking a look as well. Cool. I think that's the last of it. We can move on to the issues now.
Sorry,
Yeah.
I have a small question. I have a PR open. It's in draft called the retry create fleet.
Mhm.
I don't know if you guys have better ideas, but we don't. I guess we don't have to chat about all today. But we're seeing issues where create fleet itself didn't fail, but because internally it's calling like run instance and all these APIs, internally it was getting rate limited and it's getting copied. That error is being copied to instances that I guess the create fee had a partial fulfillment and it'll copy the error to the rest of the unfulfilled instances. And the only way for it to retry is that it recreates, I have to delete and recreate the no claims. I don't know if you guys seen this before or if there's some solution out there, but the idea behind this PR, we're trying to figure out if we can retry the partial failures rather than going through the recreation of no claims and recalling the batch call.
Is the retry or like recreating the node claim an issue just because you have to wait 15 minutes?
It it's not 15 minutes, it was faster than that, but it was like a minute or two, which is a little long to wait for, at least for us.
Wait. Um,
I think because the call fails so early, which is like because when you create the no claims, you
mhm,
make a launch, essentially you launch instance, you get the instance ID, and you then actually make the no claim.
mhm.
But it fails before that. So I think that no claim wasn't actually created, but it has to wait for some next cycle for it to re-see the pending pods and retry creating a no claim. And
Oh,
whatever that loop is long, at least from what we've seen.
I see. Okay, so it's not necessarily like because the current flow is that as soon as we make the create fleet call, if we get an error back, we'll just immediately delete or uh if it's a failure that we catch or like we have an understanding for, we will delete it. If not, it will wait the 15 minutes. But in this particular case, if it's just deleting it immediately and you're saying like it's like a issue of recreating the new node claim, yeah. I could see how that would
Okay.
be, yeah, how that would add latency.
Well,
I'd be more
yeah,
curious to know what the slow path is there, like why we're so slow in recreating the node claim, because you'd hate to get into a situation where you're like slamming, like you're retrying the create fleet, even though you're not going to get a run instance because like the instance type truly is iced, or like you're out of IPs in that subnet or something like that, and you need to like make a different node claim just to begin with. Um, do you have any idea where that
oh,
slowness is coming from?
in this case, the partial failure, because we're getting rate limited by AWS API, the slowness, I don't know. I don't know if it's getting ice or something. I didn't look that deeply to see, but I can take a look at that because that might make sense that the instance type is getting ice or something.
Well,
Is it there's log?
that would be why you're getting failure, like why
Okay,
you're getting a partial failure, but that wouldn't be my question is, sorry, I went off a tangent there. My question is more, do we know why it's slow for us to delete the node claims and recreate? Because I don't know that code path that well, but I think that
right.
would be my preferred solution
Sure.
naively, because like you'd hate to be spinning on an instance you know you're not going to get, you know?
Yeah, yeah. I need to take a look. I don't know it super well either, but I can take a look and see, yeah, for sure.
Okay. Because that would be super useful. If you can tighten that, if you can make that faster,
Yeah, yeah,
that's a
for
great
sure.
improvement. I would love to see that.
Yeah, yeah. I'll take a look and see what might be happening on the like yeah, that cycle. Yeah.
Because ultimately, when we've seen other cases, that's kind of the method that we've relied on thus far.
Okay. That makes sense.
Yeah. Okay, cool. Now let's move on to the untriaged issues. Okay, starting with this one. Oh, okay.
Oh, this is more validation stuff, isn't it?
Looks like it. Yeah, looks like they're not succeeding here.
I mean,
Um,
from their expected behavior, it looks like they're like they want um, the error in the log to be correct.
oh, but I mean, this is the AWS error code that's saying it's invalid block device mapping, and if it's if it's the validation controller, customers don't have control over that run instance call, or at least, yeah. I mean, we just kind of pull information from their node classes or one of their node class, and then make a few assumptions. So we might have just made a bad assumptions in their case, or right here. I guess it's like tells them right there.
We might not parse that properly into the node class. They're saying.
Small for I maybe? Yeah, I guess I'm not clearly understanding what they're looking for here.
Yeah, it looks like they want.
They just want
That's how I would interpret this. Is it seems like they're asking for like the only events on the EC2 node class are transitions of the true status conditions. They're looking for like another status condition that's like block device mapping invalid or something like that, or block device is ready. I don't know.
yeah. Yeah, no, I think we should definitely propagate this back on there. It'd be nice for them to have. I guess I wouldn't necessarily call this a bug then. Yeah, this should
No,
definitely
yeah, it's a feature
feature.
or something.
Yeah. It would be a good first issue. Okay. Yeah. Seems like just something that they could that can be added to the EC2 node class and then users could use. Yeah, I mean, I think it's a pretty straightforward feature request. Yeah. I guess I'm surprised by this one.
Yeah,
It should be propagated onto the environment. I mean, we first check to see if it's set from the config that we pull. I think that should be propagated on there. I would have to double check, but I'm not convinced that this is actually just something that they can't do themselves today. Hmm.
I mean, I guess in the situation where you don't want to set the config for whatever reason, and then you want it to use IMDS, you might want it. You might want this to be like, oh, it shouldn't be using IMDS v1. Makes sense. Like we should default to IMDS v2, I think. It'd be weird that they, yeah. I would want to verify that they're actually using IMDS v1. I would be surprised if it was.
I mean, we are using V2, like the AWS SDK V2s, which if their default is IMDS V1, that would surprise me.
Yeah.
Are they using an older version of Karpenter? Did they say what version they're running?
No,
If
they
they
did
didn't,
not.
that might be helpful to know.
Yeah, that is a good question to ask. I will follow up with them and see if this is a good issue or not, and then we can trash it there. Cool. Um, mm, guess I'm a little confused with this one.
Yeah, I'd say needs investigation.
Yeah. I guess because like we would, well, I mean, they'll only get how long is their graceful termination? Uh,
I didn't see their node class, only their node pool.
100
100
seconds.
seconds. Yeah. I mean, because the window is 2 minutes. They have a 2-minute window for it to have, that kind of graceful termination. Uh, they have termination grace period of 10 minutes. Yeah. I guess we should give this time, maybe. Yeah, we definitely need more information from them. Yeah, if I can. Derek, you want to take a look at it? If you have a chance.
Yeah, I can. Yeah, sure, send it to me.
Okay. Okay. I think this is probably just reasonable. We can just remove this and
It would be good if they show if there's other pods in that replica set. They don't show that, right? They only show one pod range, right?
yeah, they
Because
don't
like if one of them is unhealthy, then the PDB will block it. And yeah, they don't show the status of the pods.
yeah. I mean, yeah, there could be multiple reasons. I mean, we don't really know the disruption, but like their budgets either
This is
on
still
the
37. I don't think there's budgets, right? I think they're
37.
like, yeah,
No, there's budgets on 37.
what was it?
I
Okay.
think it was introduced at 35.
Oh, okay. I was thinking it was later than 37, but yes, I think you're right.
Yeah. Okay. Cool. Um. Yeah. Need more information. I'll assign this to myself and then ask those questions and set it. Update the. Okay. Um, do you have any thoughts on this? I know you've done some digging into networking configurations or like when.
Yes. Yeah, so it's interesting that they want to use the same name for security groups because right now AWS doesn't like we don't guarantee that you can make security groups, you can make them all a bunch of them named the same thing for the reason of you want to be able to do this kind of a thing. So it's odd that like they would ask for additional configuration. I can put my thoughts on the ticket, but I think I would rather have them like can you use the subnet selector terms and security group selector terms to specify only the security groups you want? Because um like if you have two different VPCs in your cluster, you should have two node classes for those. Probably. Right now, that's the recommended configuration.
Gotcha.
And if you only want to use the one, surely there's a way you can maybe you can tag all the subnets and security groups associated with that VPC with a tag that say the VPC ID, and then you can use that tag to select on for the EC2. Like there's existing workarounds. Um,
Yeah. I mean,
throw
those.
it
I mean, as far
throw
as
it to me, and I'll put some thoughts in the ticket or the
sounds
issue.
good. Yeah. Those seems like those are pretty reasonable workarounds. I am curious as to why they would like what their use case would be to have this kind of mix and matching different VP like having network configuration from two different VPCs.
I think, are they trying to mix them up? I thought you run the problem, you have two VPCs with the same security group and you don't specify this VPC ID or subnet ID.
Well, what they're saying is, if I understand it right, is that they're trying to make a however they have their subnet and security group selectors set
Oh,
up, is
to
it's
both.
selecting some security group subnet combinations that are valid together because they're in different
Yeah,
VPCs.
okay, that's interesting.
That is definitely an interesting use case. I'm not sure if we have a I guess I'm not at least I don't feel like I have a clear understanding as to why users do that. Maybe I guess maybe IP exhaustion. I'm not sure.
It, I guess implicitly, I don't know if that's true, but it's never specified that, a single node class can have multiple VPC information, even though technically pretty hard to do that. Um, Maybe worth calling out like, yeah, one node class equal one VPC because when you start mixing things, a lot of guarantees are not true because like I think subnet, same thing, right? Like you can name it the same across VPC and then carpenters get confused too, right?
Yeah. Yeah. No, that's fair. Yeah, maybe we might want to explicitly call that on the docs. Yeah. Okay. Hmm. This is interesting.
Because if the underlying node object stop responding back to the control plane, you won't get updates for it.
Yeah, I guess uh, there may be a race. Yeah, I mean, I think I think we have seen some cases as well where there are cases where we might miss some termination, like some event, some like termination events, or I guess not termination events, but like our termination controller for the node objects sometimes doesn't reconcile because we're not getting any more like heartbeats from the node.
Couplet, yeah.
Yeah. And so I think we have a dependency somewhere. I'm not exactly sure. This is something that we might have like we kind of saw last week. Where if kubelet isn't responding. Actually, we saw this really with Quark testing where kubelet isn't responding, where like the Quark controller isn't responding or giving any sort of heartbeats. You end up in a scenario where Carpenter doesn't ever take action because it never queues in the
Yeah. I
from
thought the cloud controller provider or manager can take care of this, but I don't know if they run that. Because essentially the state of the node from EC2 side is gone, but Kubernetes is not able to reconcile that or it doesn't know about that. And it needs information either from an external controller that pulls EC2 and be like, hey, this node's actually gone, and then cleans it up. I'm not sure Carpenter should be in that or not, but yeah.
So the problem is we let CCM handle that, but we have to be responsible for removing our own finalizer.
Oh, the finalizer. Oh, okay, yes, okay. Right. Oh, CCM can't delete it. Yeah, that makes sense. Okay.
Yeah.
Oh,
So yeah, that part I am surprised because like we do poll. Yeah, I guess I am surprised how this necessarily happened because we would poll to see if the instance is deleted and then from then on remove the finalizer. But yeah, curious how this happened. It was yeah. I think we need more information.
I mean, I love I cannot reproduce this yet.
Yeah. I mean,
I do wonder if it's not actually terminated, but it's stuck in a disconnect like broken state, which CCM then won't delete, Carpenter won't delete because the node technically is alive. It's just lost in networking, for example. But that seems more likely, like the node went to a bad state. It can respond to things. And then that's why no one's cleaning it up. But it's no longer running.
hmm, yeah. Yeah, if you're getting it back instead of a describe call, like a describe instance call, then
Yeah.
yeah, really, this is something. I mean, from the information that they gave us, we can poke around. I mean, we do have, yeah, we can poke around. I think we have sufficient information at least here to validate that any call, like to validate when the true time the instance was actually terminated. Well, my maybe, but like they did mention here that restarting Carpenter fixed it. Like it was able to reconcile and remove it immediately. So that kind of tells me that it probably was gone.
That's weird. Didn't see that part.
Yeah. Okay. I mean, I'll assign it to myself, ask a few questions and see if we can get to the bottom of it. But yeah, this is, I mean, luckily seems like it doesn't happen very often. It seems like just a one-off or like a very small race condition. Okay. Oh, make read zero and pick a full.
That's interesting. There's a lot of risk to running rate 0 by default.
Yeah, today we allow them to configure this. I think the argument to make it default is an interesting one, just because they'll get performance improvements when you could just set it up on your own node class. I'm pretty sure.
Yeah, I mean, like anybody that wants it can definitely configure it. It's, I guess, it's just a question of do you mandate it? And
I
I
don't.
guess
I,
I mandate that.
I definitely don't think it should be a default. Like you lose. Like some people expect 2 disks, not 1, or like however many. You lose storage, and I'm not sure if everyone expects you to lose storage for performance because you're rating the disk or striping the disk.
Yeah, and I do find this argument of like the 2 instance types. I guess I'm not. I'm curious if they're looking for specific instance types being rate zeroed, which I could just see that getting really confusing.
Yeah, I don't. At least for me, Karpenter's not shouldn't be making these kind of opinions for users. Because the rate 0 versus normal is like such a different configuration that I don't think it makes sense to choose for your users.
Gotcha. Okay. Um.
I can comment on it.
Yeah.
Yeah,
On to that seems reasonable.
I don't think it assign it to me because I'm not part of the AWS provider, but I can just comment on it first.
Okay, feel free. I'll just put needs information for the time being, and then you can feel free to add your comments.
I do also think that the submitter is also works for AWS. I believe they're an SA. So we might want to reach out to them internally.
Oh yeah, if that's
to-
the case, yeah, feel free to do that through your channel because
I
I mean,
mean,
if you
maybe there's
put your thoughts in the ticket, please, Garvin, and then
please,
we'll
yeah.
ping them being
sure.
like, "Do you want to respond?" That way, you get a response.
That way we can also I mean, he himself will can respond back, and all conversations can can happen on the ticket. We'll just push him to at least respond. Okay, cool. Um, where are we at now? Metric spot is. Hmm. I guess we. I mean, we do have metrics around errors. If I recall that we should. They should. I guess this person should be able to just utilize. Um, yeah, I mean, you have error total. Not to mention you have instance offerings availability. Yeah. Yeah. I think I guess I would want more information around this. I'll assign this to myself. But I mean, either way, I mean, if they wanted more of a direct, yeah, I guess I don't know how this would be outside of just firing off errors. And then maybe having the actual error message or the reason inside of the metric for them to be able to filter on, which I
What
think
would
we
be
are.
more interesting, I think, is a gauge of how many spot instances you have.
Yeah,
And I mean, that seems more useful for operationally, so you can like alarm when you're close but not over, you know?
yeah. I guess the way I'm reading this, Derek, is that like, they don't have an understanding for when they're close. Which
Okay, well then that's a problem.
I mean, this error specifically tells me that because if that is your case, we definitely have an ability, like metrics to be able to count exactly how many like spot instances that you have and such. At least I'm pretty sure. I think you should. Uh, created. Oh, maybe type. Maybe they don't. I don't know. Uh, I'm I'm pretty sure you should be able to get it based off of the nodes because we push the labels that's actually on the nodes into the metrics that we populate. So I'm pretty sure the customer should be able to do this. I will validate and leave that in there, but if they know their account, at least if they're specifically wondering their account, they should be able to produce it today. Maybe it's just a knowledge gap there, but yeah, I don't know. I guess I'm not fully grokking what the ask here is. Okay. Uh, okay.
Yeah, that's expected.
Hmm.
Because right now I don't think we support GovCloud endpoint for our pricing, do we?
I don't think GovCloud has an endpoint.
Yeah.
Or let me quickly check.
Yeah, I don't think so. I think pricing only has public and doesn't have private endpoints, so GoFile likely doesn't let you do public.
Yeah, I let me see. Yeah, we don't have an endpoint for GovCloud. I think we just hit US East 1, but if they're running in some sort of like which I mean, if my understanding for GovCloud is correct, you should be able to hit US East 1, right?
Not if you're like completely air gapped or separated.
Okay. Yeah,
It
yeah, I guess
depends on how they run it. Yeah.
I don't know. I guess I don't know if yeah, GovCloud is air gapped or not. Okay, but yeah, I mean, the thing is though, they should be able to fall back to using
Yeah.
or the pricing data that we package. You just need to disable it, saying they're running in some sort of an isolated VCP. Uh, yeah, VPC. Then we will just hit these and we won't do any lookups. So yeah, it's definitely supported today. It's not amazing, but it is something that is can be done. Yeah, I can assign that one to myself and just give them that information. Mm,
Well,
okay.
the error is funky. Security token is invalid. Sounds like the the configuration is wrong.
Yeah.
Or yeah, I don't know. Something's weird, but I'm not 100% sure what the answer is. Oh,
Oh, there's linked what definition which Yeah. Yeah. It may just be related to their permissions. I will take a look at this. Okay. We'll remove this. I think this seems like a reasonable ask. SCP. Wow. Okay. SCPs are painful on this one. This validation controller has been fun to work with.
Oh, that's interesting that they changed. I don't think Carpenter is doing the run instance directly though, right? Like it's this create fleet is doing like passing the, the identity all the way back.
So yes, for the actual real life launches, yes, but we do a dry run, run instance calls for
Oh,
validation controller just to make sure that like when Create Fleet does it, um, it will work. But
interesting.
this is a
That's
scenario,
funny.
yeah, right?
That's hilarious.
But it's like, yeah, I don't actually know. Yeah, this is actually something we did not think about. Um, and I don't know how we would work around it. Wow, that is yeah, I don't know how like
Maybe you have
unless
you have to skip validation if you're running SCP or whatever.
maybe a flag may be the right thing.
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah,
Because
because
that's hilariously traumatic.
yeah, like yeah, our validation to check if an instance works is explicitly denied. That's yeah, okay. I maybe offer a flag, maybe don't do it. I mean, yeah, it's yeah, okay. I'll let this one be for the time being. I will I will come back to this. Okay. I feel like there's already an issue for this upstream around, I guess, effectively having graceful expiration. I mean, they want expiration, but with PDPs and such. So let me see if I can find that issue. There is already we did see a recent feature request for this. No, I'm seeing it. Ah, here it is. And then we can go through one more issue and then we can call it good for the meeting. Not sure here what the ask is. Yeah, yes, I'm not exactly sure what they're looking for here.
Do you want to temp it? Yeah, I don't know what they want.
Yeah, I'm just gonna put needs information and then yeah, call it good. Okay, I think we can call this meeting. We got through a good amount of issues. Um, yeah, thanks everyone for joining.
Thank you.
Thanks. Bye bye.